temple. And when the parents brought in the child Jesus to do for him what was customary under the law, Simeon took him in his arms and praised God, saying, Master, now you are dismissing your servant in peace. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the presence of all the peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and for glory to your people, Israel. And the child's father and mother were amazed at what was being said about them. Then Simeon blessed them and said to the mother, Mary, this child is destined for the falling and the rising of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be opposed, so that the inner thoughts of many will be revealed, and a sword will pierce your own soul too. There was also a prophet, Anna, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age, having lived with her husband 7 years after her marriage, then as a widow to the age of 84. She never left the temple, but worshipped there with fasting and prayer night and day. At the moment she came and began to praise God and to speak about the child to all who were looking for the redemption of Jerusalem. When they had finished everything required under the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was upon him. Thanks be to God. Before we go to the children's moment, and as part of our conversation and message today, I'm going to relate a story in the scriptures and not read it directly. Just save a little bit of time. This is my favorite Bible story. Everybody's got favorite verses and stories. This is my absolute favorite Bible story. It is John 9. John 9. In this story, there's a guy, and he's been blind from birth. And Jesus comes across him, and he sees him, and his apostles said, what did this guy do that he was born a sinner? He'd been blind his whole life, and the philosophy at the time was that anybody who had an infirmity, anybody who had a problem, it was because you were a sinner, either in this life or your parents were sinners, but it was some sort of punishment from God. So the apostles are asking Jesus, what did this guy do? And Jesus said, he's blind so that the glory of God can be revealed. And Jesus walked over and made some clay or mud out of some spit in the ground. And he put this clay on the guy's eyes and said, now, go and wash in the pool of Siloam and you'll be healed. So the blind guy takes this random moment, goes and does what he's told to do, because when you're having a hard time in life, anything is a hope. And he goes and washes, and by goodness he can see. And people are amazed and talking about this. Here's a guy who's been blind his whole life, and suddenly he can see. How did this happen? I don't know. Some guy named Jesus came up to me, put some clay on my eyes, told me to go wash. I did. I see. And this is a big deal. People are talking about it. So they take the blind guy to the temple, and they're talking to the priest. And the priest asks what's going on, and he relates the story. And the priests and the scribes are having a problem, because Jesus did all this on the Sabbath. So he broke the rules. So it was a miraculous thing, but he broke the rules. So there's a split among the priests and scribes. Some of them are saying he has to be from God because he's performing these miracles. When has anything like this ever happened before? And the other half are saying he can't be from God because he's not following the rules. So there's a division, and the guy leaves. The priests and the scribes say, okay, we got to get to the bottom of this. So they call the guy's parents in. And the parents come to the temple, but now they're concerned. They're nervous. They know what's going on, but you're being called before basically the courts to answer questions. And so they're saying, tell us about your son. And the parents, very cleverly, apparently, in the reading, say, hey, we know he was born blind. We know he was born blind his whole life. As to what's happened since, talk to him. He's of age. So they avoid any further conversation. So they send the parents off. Then they call the blind guy, or the once blind guy, back to the temple. Say, we want to hear the story again. So the guy, you can see kind of in the words of the way it's described, he doesn't say he rolls his eyes, but he's somewhat exasperated. not from God, and he did it. And now you're saying he's a sinner, but everything we've been told says that he must be from God. Now the priests and the scribes are getting angry. Who are you to tell us what's going on and what is and isn't right? And they kick him out. So the guy's off. Jesus comes across this guy again later, and he thanks him, I presume, and Jesus says, "So, what do you think about me?" And the guy was blind, said, "Well, I think you're a prophet." And "Well, you're half right. I'm the Son of God." And they have basically the blind guy follows him from there, and that's the end of the story. I'm going to let you sit on that story for a few minutes. We're going to have some moments with the children, and then we're going to come back. So, first thing is the children's message. If someone wants to start us with Jesus loves, because I always forget the part. Today's conversation is about, would you recognize Jesus if you saw him? Okay? Would you recognize Jesus if you saw him? So I've got some pictures we're going to talk about. First picture is this guy right here. Can you all see? First picture is this guy right here. Does this look like Jesus? What do you guys think? Does it look like Jesus? Got the hair and the beard. He talks in a Texas accent. I can't understand what he says. Does it look like Jesus? No? This is, well, it's a rock star. It's Tom Petty. He just passed away not long ago. But he's got the hair and the beard, so he kind of looks like him. But no, this doesn't look like Jesus. Not really. So we got this statue. This is a statue. Does this look like Jesus? It's a yes or no question, guys. No, don't think so? This is an interesting guy. This is Benedict. He's been sainted by one of the churches, the Catholic Church. He lived a few hundred years ago, and he liked to cook. He liked to cook so much that he made food for just about everybody he encountered, including those who were hungry and poor. And that's what he did his whole life doing. And basically, several hundred years ago, they made a saint out of him. When they make a saint out of somebody, they say that, I don't know exactly who or what he was, but we're pretty sure he got into heaven. So he wasn't Jesus, but a lot of people saw Jesus when they saw him and lived and worked with him. Okay? He wasn't Jesus, but a lot of people saw Jesus in Benedict. Here is a woman. Does this look like Jesus? Does this look like Jesus? No? Don't think so? Kind of like Benedict, this is Mother Teresa. She just died a couple of years ago, and she lived in India taking care of the poor and the needy in the streets of India, I think the streets of Calcutta. And she impacted the lives of thousands of people. Thousands of people. I'm not talking about sainthood here, just as we're picking out people that are generally reviewed as reflecting the life of Christ, so there's a lot of sainthood in some of these people. But she was very quickly sainted by the same church, and a lot of people, when they saw her and dealt with her, saw Jesus in her. Mother Teresa. Not Jesus, but a lot of people saw Jesus and met Jesus in her. All right, does this look like Jesus? How about that guy? Does this look like Jesus? Anybody?
No.
Anybody know who this is? And he apologized for a lot of the sins of the church, the Catholic Church in particular, some of the arrogance and perversions of the church through the years. And he had a love for all religions. He bridged into Islam, he bridged into Judaism. And he even forgave the guy who tried to kill him. A guy tried to shoot him. Well, actually, he did shoot him, he just didn't kill him. And he went and visited the prison and forgave him. John Paul. A lot of people saw Jesus in John Paul, even though he wasn't Jesus. All right, this is the next one. This is tougher. Does this look like Jesus? Does this look like Jesus? This is a tough one, because Jesus himself says, when you see someone who's hungry, when you see someone who's naked, when you help someone who is in need or assistance, you help me. These are the kinds of people that we tend to look past and look around. But Jesus says, this is exactly what I look like. Not necessarily what we expect, is it? And the last one is this one. Does that look like Jesus? Does that look like Jesus? Does that look like Jesus? No? You sure? Does this look like Jesus? To any of you? Again, we are reminded of all these different people. They weren't Jesus, but many, many people, tens, hundreds, thousands, millions of people saw Jesus in some of these other people. And you each have an opportunity. You each have an opportunity for people to see Jesus in you. We're going to talk about would you recognize Jesus if you saw him. There's a big picture, the final coming of Jesus, but there's also the little picture, Jesus is around us and with us every day, all the time. And you'll encounter people who have Jesus in their heart, and will you be able to recognize those people who love Jesus when you see them? Every one of you has an opportunity to be that person. Every one of you has an opportunity to be that person as you grow up. All right? Can we say a prayer? Does anybody have a prayer they'd like to give up? No? Put hands together. Say with me, Lord, we thank you for your Son, and we thank you for his willingness to live within us. For his willingness to live within us. Let us be a light and an example. Light and an example to those we come in contact with. So that they may see Jesus in us. Amen. All right, thank you very much. What's that? Yeah, well, that's good practice. You guys are singing a song, aren't you?
Riley, give Dan his glasses, please.
Nice. Yeah, it is. He's waiting for his time.
then to thinking, oh gosh, they're so slow, they're so silly, they just don't get it. And one of the reasons I'm so fond of the story in John 9 that I related today is because that story could play out tomorrow in 2018, 2019. Some guy's going to show up and he's going to start doing amazing things, and it's going to be a big argument as to whether or not they're doing it by the rules. And we're going to have all sorts of reasons why it could be and all sorts of reasons why it isn't. And Jesus tells us, hey, you can look at it for the works, or you can look at it for what I'm saying, but judge me righteously either way. You'll come to the right conclusion. But when you start looking at the letter of the law and the details and the knicky-knacks, well, he's doing it the wrong way, you're going to get yourself into trouble. Imagine yourselves hearing about some Korean. She's a woman. She's a dwarf, little person. And she's out there hanging around with a bunch of drug addicts, prostitutes, AIDS victims, and she's performing these miracles. She's healing people and changing lives around. And you say, well, yeah, but they have that's a very, you're starting at the bottom. Anybody can change from the bottom. And what kind of miracles? Are there proper miracles? I mean, who is she doing these miracles for? And then we start hearing about she's saying she's the next coming of Jesus. Well, that can't be right, because first of all, she's a sheep. Can't be right. She's a guy. We're looking for a guy with a beard, mustache, maybe some rock star hair. And if it's not that, it doesn't fit the profile. It can't be Jesus. And there'll be people that are saying, yeah, but look at what she's doing. Yeah, but it can't be Jesus. I mean, I've read the book, and there's going to be a large segment of people. Remember, there's a whole lot of fundamentalists, literalists out there that says, the book says got to be a guy. Isn't a guy? Can't be Jesus. Even though the book has had other issues through the centuries. And that'll be a question mark for us, but then it'll get a little challenging, because in addition to the fact that she's hanging out with all these, I'm going to use the phrase lowlifes, every time she starts talking about the church, us, it's not a, hey, you're doing a great job, keep it up. It's a criticism. Yeah, well, I've seen the church. I've seen the people who say they're following me. And I got news for you. They're not getting it done. They stopped doing that a long time ago. Not everybody who calls upon my name will enter into the kingdom of heaven. Many will say to me, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons and do great works of prophecy in your name? And the short, midget woman will say, be gone from me, you who practice inequity. I never knew you. And that's not going to go over well with the people who have spent their life being good, fine, upstanding Christians. And yet that line that I just gave you was something that Jesus says in Matthew 7:21 already. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom, but those who do the will of my Father. I will say, depart from me, you who practice iniquity. I never knew you. So it's both easy and hard. It's one of the paradoxes of our faith. Our faith is loaded with paradoxes. The first shall be last. What the heck does that mean? If you want to lead, you have to serve. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Well, one of the paradoxes of our faith is it is profoundly simple to understand. Love God. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated. Just get out there and love. And infinitely complicated to live out. Because it's hard to love some people. Especially some people that you're pretty much convinced they don't want to be loved. They make bad decisions. They. recognize Jesus in others, in our lives, as we go forward out of this room? Will you recognize Jesus in other people? Kind of like what we were talking with the children's sermon this morning. And just as importantly, perhaps more importantly, if Jesus does decide to come back in our lifetime, will we recognize Jesus when he or she shows up? Because I can pretty much guarantee, without knowing how it's going to play, just by reading the book and understanding the past, it's not going to be what we expect. There's going to be a lot of reasons to go either direction. There's that free will thing again. And it's going to be uncomfortable. Those things I know. So think about it, ponder it a little bit in the coming week. I can't give you answers. I can't tell you how to identify Jesus. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pass that test if and when it comes. I've gotten better at it and seeing Jesus in other people as I've gotten older. But it's something you have to find inside yourself. That's the only thing I can say. But if you're working on it, and you're praying on it, and you're reading on it, the kind of things we were talking about in the last few weeks, those skills come. Because those are skills that God wants you to have. Will you recognize Jesus in others and when Jesus comes again? Because Jesus is coming. Jesus is here in others, and he's coming. Know when to see him or her. Know when it's somebody else in sheep's clothing. Someone else who's trying to pull the wool over